All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Malzberg's Media Madness, and that means it's time to welcome in Tim Graham, Director of Media Analysis at the Media Research Center, also Executive Director at newsbusters.org. And Tim, there's been quite a reaction in the media to the Supreme Court nominee put forth by President Obama yesterday, and you had it there on newsbusters.org. Let's play some of it.
And Terry, Judge Garland, seen as a moderate for the most part, senior justice on the D.C. Circuit. In any other year, he might be seen as a relatively safe pick.
He is the exact opposite of what you would expect if you were saying that the president was trying to motivate Democrats to rally behind or trying to help a Democrat in the presidential election, because he's a 63-year-old white guy. He is a deeply respected, probably the most deeply respected Democratic appointee on the bench. In some ways, some narrow ways, he's slightly more conservative than Justice Scalia, particularly on criminal law issues.
This is someone that everyone on both sides had told him time and time again over the years, Merrick Garland is someone Republicans and Democrats like and respect.
What, if anything, works against the judge, Jan, in terms of his positions or past record, quickly?
I see nothing.
Nothing, Tim. And he's more conservative than Scalia.
This matches several patterns. Our Jeff Dickens has an article on Newsbusters that makes this point. You can go back to Ruth Bader Ginsburg in 1993, and this pattern always happens. The first thing is the liberal media tells you this is the most respected jurist they've ever possibly considered. They are always centrists. They are always just about to move the court to the right. And when you think about it, do any of us believe that Ruth Bader Ginsburg moved the court to the right? Do we believe that Elena Kagan and Sonia Sotomayor are conservatives or centrists? Nothing in the record suggests any of that. I think a look at Judge Garland here, our early look at him is another liberal, clerk for Brennan. So the idea that the news media is going to come out here and just say this stuff about what an esteemed centrist. Chuck Todd said this pick was perfect. It's that sort of spin that just says these are a group of people who are publicists, not journalists.
Yeah, very, very well said. All right, now we have a survey done by the Media Research Center, posted at newsbusters.org. Let's put a graph up here. This is 82. By a 15-to-1 margin, the networks blamed Donald Trump, not the leftist radicals, for the campaign violence. I'm sorry to say, by a 3-0 mark, the other presidential campaigns candidates joined in. But let's focus on the networks here. Again, blind. I watched CNN. I wanted to go through the TV screen. Poppy Harlow. Really? There's a history of violence from the left? As Jeffrey Lord had to educate her. Just insanity.
Well, I mean, obviously, I think that it's one thing if you're talking about Trump fans sucker punches a guy as he leaves the rally. That's unfortunate. That's a Trump fan losing his cool. This rally in Chicago was something different. It was an organized infiltration designed to create a circus atmosphere. Very successful. Obviously, Trump decided this was not going to end well for him, and he cut it short. The violence, as it was, broke out after the cancellation. But, the news media, as often happens, don't want to acknowledge the obvious thing that happened here. This was an organized left-wing infiltration designed to shut it down. And they didn't even say that what happened afterwards was that they patted themselves in the back for shutting this rally down.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great point you make. To accuse Trump of inciting violence in some way and using the example of a supporter who did violence, but the punch, is one thing. But to blame Trump for the radical left showing up, I mean, that's just insane. And they just conflate the two without any bat of an eye. Okay, your piece also from the other day, from yesterday, about an Investor's Business Daily editorial taking the Drudge report to task.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there has been a real concern among conservatives. Obviously, there are conservatives that love Trump. There are conservatives that tweet never Trump. And the never Trump crowd is not happy with the Drudge report. In fact, is skipping out and looking at the Drudge report anymore. Same reaction on the part of the never Trumpers to Breitbart. Just not paying any attention to these websites anymore because they are perceived as in the pocket or definitely in support of the Trump campaign. So that is an issue. Now, nobody ever assumed that the Drudge Report was an objective news site, but it's interesting. The IBD cited the Michelle Fields incident. When Drudge doesn't find it interesting, that whole Michelle Fields incident,
right.
You know, that's not very drudgy for him to ignore a story like that.
Yeah, and again, and we should point out, as most people know, that Drudge links to other stories. Sometimes he has an exclusive, but usually it's just a matter of linking to other outlets. Tim, always great to talk to you, my friend. Thank you very much. Check out the Media Research Center and newsbusters.org. Up next, it's Gimme 5 time. Don't miss it.